will you keep waiting for a moment that may never come? How long will you keep telling yourself, one day I will start, while days keep passing you by? Be honest with yourself right now. How long will you keep waiting for help that may never come? How long will you pray, speak, confess, declare, and still refuse to act? Because there is a hard truth many people avoid. And until you face it, your life will remain in the same place. Listen carefully. Nobody is coming to rescue your discipline. Nobody is coming to wake up early for you. Nobody is coming to force you to focus when your mind wants to wander. Nobody is coming to push you into your purpose while you sit comfortably in delay. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner your life begins to change. Because as long as you believe someone else will do it for you, you will remain stuck waiting instead of moving. Now think about your daily life. How many things have you postponed, hoping motivation will show up? How many opportunities have you ignored, thinking you still have time? How many times have you said, I just need someone to help me, when deep down you know what you need is discipline? This is where many people miss it. They confuse support with responsibility. Yes, people can support you, but they cannot replace your effort. Moreover, there is something you must understand about how life works. The results you want are connected to actions you have not yet taken. Not wishes, not intentions, not prayers alone. Actions, because nothing changes until you move. You can listen to all the motivation in the world, but if you don't act, your life remains the same. You can feel inspired today, but without discipline tomorrow, that inspiration fades. And let me confront you with truth. Nobody can think for you. Nobody can control your habits for you. Nobody can build your future for you. People can advise you, encourage you, even pray for you, but when it comes to doing the work, it is your responsibility. And until you accept that fully, you will keep giving away the power you actually have. Furthermore, this is where many people misunderstand faith. They believe that if they pray enough, things will just happen. They believe that faith means waiting. But the Bible makes it clear in James chapter 2, verse 17, that faith without works is dead, not weak, dead. That means faith that does not produce action is not alive. It is incomplete. It has no power to create results. So when you say you have faith, where is your action? When you say you believe God for more, what are you doing differently? Because real faith moves. Real faith works. Real faith gets up and does what needs to be done, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it is difficult, even when it is inconvenient. Now let me say something that may challenge you deeply. Some of the things you are praying for are already in your hands, waiting for your discipline. You are asking God for progress, but avoiding the process. You are asking for change, but resisting the effort required to create it. And until that changes, your results will not change. However, the moment you stop waiting and start taking responsibility, everything begins to shift. Your mindset changes. Your energy changes. Your focus becomes sharper. Because now you understand that your life is not on pause. It is in your hands. And what you do today will determine what happens tomorrow. So I need you to make a decision right now, not later, not when you feel ready now. Decide that you will stop waiting. Decide that you will stop making excuses. Decide that you will stop depending on motivation and start building discipline. Because nobody can do this for you. And hear this clearly. God will help you, yes. He will strengthen you. He will guide you. He will give you wisdom. But He will not replace your responsibility. He will not wake up for you. He will not do the work for you. Your part is your part. And until you take it seriously, your life will remain limited. Therefore, from this moment, shift your mindset. Stop looking around for who will push you and start pushing yourself. Stop asking who will help me and start asking what must I do? Because the moment you take ownership, you take power. And the moment you take power, your life begins to move. However, now that you've faced that truth, there is something even deeper you must confront, and that is this. Your life is your responsibility. Not partially, Not sometimes, completely. And until you fully accept that, you will keep finding reasons instead of making progress. Let me ask you something honestly. Who have you been blaming? Is it your background? Is it the people around you? Is it lack of support, lack of money, lack of opportunity? Because as long as you keep pointing outward, you will never take control inward. And the moment you refuse responsibility, you also refuse growth. Listen carefully. Responsibility is not a burden, it is power. Because when you say, this is my responsibility, what you are really saying is, I have the ability to change this. But when you say, it's their fault or it's because of my situation, you are giving away your power to something you cannot control. Now think about this in real life. Two people can come from the same environment, face the same struggles, see the same limitations, and still end up in completely different places. Why? Because one decided to take responsibility while the other kept making excuses. One said, this will not define me, while the other said, this is why I can't move forward. Moreover, the Bible makes this clear in Galatians chapter 6 verse 5, that every man shall bear his own burden. That means there is a personal responsibility attached to your life. Yes, people can guide you. Yes, people can support you. But when it comes to your growth, your discipline, your decisions, you are accountable. And this is where many people struggle. They want the results of responsibility without accepting the weight of it. They want success, but not accountability. They want progress, but not ownership. But it doesn't work that way. You cannot build a different life with the same mindset that avoids responsibility. Furthermore, I need you to understand this truth. Your current life is a reflection of your past decisions. Not everything that happened to you was your choice, but what you do next is always your choice. And that is where your power lies. Not in what happened yesterday, but in what you decide today. So instead of asking, why is my life like this? Start asking, what can I do to change it? Instead of focusing on what you don't have, focus on what you can control. Your time, your habits, your effort, your mindset. Those are things nobody can take from you, but many people neglect them. And let me be real with you. Taking responsibility is uncomfortable. It will force you to face yourself. It will remove your excuses. It will expose areas where you have been lazy, distracted, or inconsistent. But that discomfort is necessary. Because growth begins where excuses end. So right now, I want you to shift something in your thinking. Stop waiting for your environment to change before you change. Stop waiting for people to support you before you start. Stop waiting for perfect conditions before you move. Because if you keep waiting, you will stay exactly where you are. Instead, take ownership. Own your time. Own your actions, own your future. Because the moment you do that, something powerful happens. You stop feeling stuck and you start becoming intentional. You stop reacting and you start leading your life. And as you step forward, remind yourself of this. Nobody is responsible for your growth but you. Nobody is responsible for your discipline but you. Nobody is responsible for your success but you. Meanwhile, there is something you must understand. If you truly want your life to move forward, God will help you, but He will not move for you. And this is where many people misunderstand their relationship with God. They pray, they believe, they declare, but they remain in the same position because they are waiting for God to do what He has already given them the ability to do. Let me ask you something that may challenge you deeply. How many times have you prayed for progress, but avoided the process? How many times have you asked God for open doors but refused to prepare yourself to walk through them? Because the truth is, God does not reward passivity. He responds to participation. Think about it. When you pray for strength, what does God do? He doesn't suddenly remove every challenge. Instead, He gives you the capacity to endure and overcome. When you pray for wisdom, He doesn't make decisions for you. He gives you understanding so you can choose correctly. That means God's help is real, but it is not a substitute for your effort. Furthermore, the Bible says in Philippians chapter 2, verse 12 to 13, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, for it is God who works in you. Did you catch that balance? You work out and God works in. That means there is a partnership. God empowers, but you execute. God strengthens, but you act. God guides, but you move. And this is where many people get stuck. They want divine results without human responsibility. They want God to carry what they are supposed to handle. But if God did everything for you, you would never grow. If He removed every challenge, you would never develop discipline. If He replaced your effort, you would never become the person you are meant to be. So I need you to shift your mindset. Stop waiting for a miracle that replaces your work and start walking in the strength God has already given you. Because the miracle is not always in the outcome. The miracle is in the ability you have right now to take action. Moreover, let's make this practical. You pray for financial growth, but you avoid learning, working, improving your skills. You pray for success, but you waste hours every day on distractions. You pray for change, but you keep repeating the same habits. And then you wonder why nothing is happening. It's not because God is silent, it's because you are not moving. And hear this clearly, God is not against your effort. He expects it. Your discipline is not separate from your faith, it is proof of it. When you act, you are showing that you believe. When you move, you are demonstrating trust. When you stay committed, even when it is hard, you are aligning with God's purpose for your life. So the question is no longer, will God help me? The question is, will I do my part? Because the help of God is already available. The strength is already there. The opportunity is already in front of you. But until you step forward, nothing changes. And let me tell you this. The moment you combine prayer with action, everything shifts. Your confidence grows. Your results begin to show. Your life starts moving in a direction that reflects both your faith and your effort. So from today, stop separating the two. Pray and then move. Believe and then act. Trust God and then do the work. Consequently, once you understand that God will help you but not replace your effort, the next thing you must confront is this. Discipline is the difference between where you are and where you say you want to be. Not motivation, not inspiration. Discipline. Let me ask you something real. How many times have you felt motivated only for it to disappear the next day? How many times have you started something with excitement but couldn't stay consistent? That's because motivation is temporary. It comes and goes. But discipline stays. Discipline shows up when you don't feel like it. Discipline carries you when your emotions fail you. Think about your daily life. The alarm rings in the morning. Motivation says, sleep a little longer. Discipline says, get up, your future is waiting. You have work to do. Motivation says, you can do it later. Discipline says, do it now. That small difference, repeated every day, is what separates people who grow from people who stay the same. Furthermore, the Bible speaks directly to this in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 27, where it says, I discipline my body and bring it into subjection. That is not a casual statement. That is intentional control. That is someone who understands that if you don't train yourself, your desires will control you. If you don't guide your actions, your habits will guide your life. And let me be honest with you. Discipline is not comfortable. It will demand things from you that your feelings will resist. It will require consistency when you feel tired, focus when you feel distracted, effort when you feel lazy. But that is exactly why it is powerful, because most people avoid it. Moreover, your future is not hidden in big dramatic moments. It is hidden in small repeated actions. What you do daily, how you think, how you spend your time, how you respond to challenges, that is what is shaping your life. Not what you say you will do someday, but what you actually do today. So if you are not satisfied with where you are, don't just look at your goals, look at your habits. Because habits are the system that produces your results. And if the system does not change, the results will not change. Let's make it practical. waking up on time, staying focused, finishing what you start, controlling distractions, managing your time. These are not small things. These are the building blocks of success, and nobody can build them for you. You have to choose them repeatedly until they become part of who you are. And here is the truth many people don't want to hear. You will not feel ready. You will not always feel strong. You will not always feel motivated. But discipline is not about how you feel. It is about what you decide. It is about saying, I will do this, whether I feel like it or not. So I need you to make a shift right now. Stop relying on motivation to change your life. Start building discipline. Because motivation might get you started, but discipline is what will keep you going. And when discipline becomes your lifestyle, something powerful happens. You stop depending on your mood and you start depending on your commitment. You become consistent. You become focused. You become someone who follows through. And that is when your life truly begins to change. However, even when you begin to build discipline, there is another trap that quietly holds people back, and that is waiting for the perfect time, waiting for the right conditions, the right mood, the right opportunity. Meanwhile, time is moving and nothing is changing. Let me ask you something honestly. How long have you been telling yourself, I will start when things are better? When you have more money, when you have more time, when you feel more confident, when everything finally lines up. But look at your life. Has everything ever been perfect? Has there ever been a moment where nothing was missing, nothing was uncertain, nothing was uncomfortable? The truth is, that moment does not exist. And if you keep waiting for it, you will keep delaying your own progress. Furthermore, the Bible makes this clear in Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 4. He who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. In simple terms, if you keep watching conditions, analyzing everything, waiting for everything to feel right, you will never start. And if you never start, you will never see results. Now think about this in real life. The person who says, I will start working on myself when I feel motivated, keeps delaying. The one who says, I will begin when I have everything figured out, stays stuck. But the person who says, I will start now, even if it's not perfect, begins to move forward. And that is the difference. Progress does not come from perfect conditions. It comes from consistent action in imperfect situations. Moreover, understand this. You already have something to start with. It may not be everything, but it is enough for your first step. Enough to begin learning. Enough to begin trying. Enough to begin improving. And once you start, clarity begins to come. Strength begins to grow. Confidence begins to build. But if you stay in waiting mode, none of that happens. Because clarity does not come before action. Clarity comes through action. And let me challenge you directly. What have you been postponing? What have you been avoiding under the excuse of not ready yet? That thing you keep pushing aside, that is exactly where your growth is waiting. Because the longer you delay, the harder it becomes to start. And the longer you wait, the more time you lose. But the moment you decide, I will start now, something shifts. You move from thinking to doing, from planning to executing, from waiting to becoming. So I need you to break that cycle today. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop overthinking every step. Stop analyzing yourself into inaction. Start where you are. Start with what you have. Start even if it feels uncomfortable. Because imperfect action will always produce more results than perfect intention. And as you move forward, remind yourself of this. The conditions may not be perfect, but your decision can be. Your commitment can be. Your discipline can be. So don't wait. Move. However, even as you begin to understand discipline, there is a silent enemy that keeps many people stuck longer than anything else. And that is the habit of waiting for the perfect time. Not just casually waiting, but constantly postponing your life under the excuse that things are not ready yet. And if you are not careful, This mindset will quietly steal years from you while making you feel like you are being responsible. Let me ask you something deeply. How many times have you told yourself, I will start when things settle down? When you have more money, when you have more clarity, when you feel more confident, when the environment around you becomes favorable. But look back, has that perfect moment ever really arrived? Or has it always been replaced by another excuse, another delay, another reason to wait just a little longer? Because the truth is, waiting feels safe. Waiting feels comfortable. Waiting allows you to avoid failure, avoid discomfort, avoid responsibility. But what you don't realize is that while you are waiting, life is moving, time is passing, opportunities are shifting, and every day you delay is a day you cannot recover. Furthermore, the Bible speaks with clarity in Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 4. He who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. That means if you keep analyzing conditions, if you keep watching for everything to align perfectly, you will never plant anything. And if you never plant, you will never harvest. It is not because you are not capable, it is because you never started. Now think about this carefully. A farmer does not wait for perfect weather before planting. If he does, he risks losing the entire season. Instead, he works with what he has. He understands that there will always be uncertainty, always be risk, always be discomfort. But he also understands that if he does nothing, nothing will grow. And that is exactly how your life works. You may not feel ready. You may not have everything figured out. You may not have all the resources you think you need. But if you keep waiting until everything is in place, you will stay exactly where you are. Moreover, let's bring this closer to your daily reality. How many ideas have you delayed? How many goals have you postponed? How many times have you said, I will begin tomorrow, only for tomorrow to become next week, next month, or even next year? That is not lack of ability. That is the habit of waiting. And here is what makes it dangerous. The more you wait, the more comfortable waiting becomes. It turns into a pattern. It turns into a lifestyle. And before you realize it, you are not just delaying tasks, you are delaying your potential. But listen carefully. Clarity does not come before action, it comes through action. Confidence does not come before starting, it grows as you move. Strength is not built in waiting, it is built in doing. That means everything you are waiting to feel will only come after you begin. So what are you really waiting for? Approval. You don't need it. Perfect conditions, they don't exist. Complete certainty, it will never come. What you actually need is a decision, a firm, unshakable decision that says, I will start no matter how I feel. Furthermore, understand this truth deeply. God will not give you step 10 when you have not taken step 1. He will not reveal everything at once. He expects movement. He expects trust expressed through action. And the moment you take that first step, even if it is small, even if it feels insignificant, something begins to shift. Direction becomes clearer. Strength begins to rise. Opportunities begin to appear. And let me be honest with you, starting will feel uncomfortable. It will challenge your confidence. It will expose your weaknesses. It will stretch you in ways you are not used to. But that discomfort is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that you are growing. Because the people who move forward are not the ones who feel ready. They are the ones who decide to act despite not feeling ready. They understand that progress is messy. They understand that mistakes are part of the process. They understand that waiting will never produce the life they desire. So right now, I want you to confront yourself. What have you been postponing? What have you been avoiding under the excuse of I'm not ready yet? That thing, that exact thing is where your next level is hiding. Not in comfort, not in delay, but in action. And here is something you must never forget. Imperfect action will always move you forward, while perfect intention keeps you stuck. You don't need to get everything right. You just need to get started. So stop waiting for the perfect moment and become the person who creates momentum. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can and trust that as you move, things will begin to align. Because your life will not change because you waited. It will change because you acted. Moreover, now that you understand the danger of waiting, there is something else you must confront. Because even when people start, many still don't move forward. And the reason is simple but uncomfortable. They are busy but not productive. And if you don't deal with this, you can spend your entire life doing things and still go nowhere. Let me ask you something honestly. At the end of your day, do you feel accomplished or just tired? Do you feel like you moved forward or just stayed occupied? Because there is a difference between being active and being effective. There is a difference between doing many things and doing the right things. And most people confuse movement with progress. Think about your daily routine. You wake up, you check your phone, you scroll, you respond to messages, you move from one thing to another. The day feels full, the hours pass quickly. But when you pause and reflect, you realize that nothing truly meaningful was accomplished. That is not productivity. That is distraction disguised as activity. Furthermore, the Bible says in Colossians chapter 3, verse 23, whatever you do, do it heartily as unto the Lord. That means your work should carry intention, focus, and excellence, not scattered effort, not half attention, not constant switching between distractions. If you are going to do something, do it fully, do it with purpose, do it as if it matters, because it does. Now let's break this down in real life. Imagine two people. One spends hours jumping from task to task, checking notifications, getting distracted, multitasking without focus. The other identifies one or two important things and gives them full attention without interruption. At the end of the day, who moves forward? It is not about who did more, it is about who did what mattered. And this is where many people lose control of their time. They allow everything to compete for their attention. Every notification becomes urgent. Every distraction becomes acceptable. Every small task feels important. And before they realize it, the day is gone and their goals remain untouched. Moreover, understand this. Your time is your life in pieces. Every hour you waste is a part of your life you will never get back. And if you don't become intentional about how you use it, you will unintentionally give it away to things that do not matter. So I need you to ask yourself a serious question. What actually moves your life forward? Not what feels urgent, not what is easy. What truly matters? What builds your future? What aligns with your purpose? Because until you identify that, you will keep reacting instead of leading your life. And let me be real with you. Focusing on what matters requires discipline. It requires saying no to distractions. It requires turning away from things that are easy but unproductive. It requires sitting down and doing the work even when your mind wants to escape, because your mind will try to avoid effort. It will look for comfort. It will suggest easier alternatives. But if you follow that pattern, you will stay in cycles of delay. Productivity begins when you take control of your focus. Furthermore, productivity is not about doing everything. It is about doing the right things consistently. It is about choosing what matters and committing to it daily, even when it feels repetitive, even when it feels slow, even when results are not immediate. And here is something you must understand deeply. Small, focused effort, repeated daily, will always produce greater results than scattered effort done occasionally. Consistency beats intensity when intensity is not sustained. So what does this mean for you right now? It means you must take control of your day. Decide what matters before the day decides for you. Set clear priorities. Focus your energy. Remove unnecessary distractions and commit to finishing what you start. Because when you begin to work with purpose, something changes. Your time becomes valuable. Your actions become meaningful. Your results begin to reflect your effort. And by the end of your day, instead of saying, I was busy, you will say, I made progress. And that is what moves your life forward. So from this moment, stop confusing activity with productivity. Stop filling your time without direction. Start working with intention. Start focusing on what matters. Because no one can manage your time for you. No one can focus for you. No one can build your future for you. Additionally, even when you begin to focus and work with intention, there is something even deeper that determines whether you will continue or stop, and that is your mind. Because before anything changes in your life, it must first change in your thinking. And if your mind is not disciplined, it will quietly sabotage everything you are trying to build. Let me ask you something honestly. What do you tell yourself when things get hard? When you feel tired, when results are slow, when progress is not visible, what voice do you listen to? Is it the voice that says, keep going, or the one that says, this is too much, stop? Because many people are not stopped by external obstacles. They are stopped by internal conversations. Think about this carefully. Two people can face the same challenge. One says, this is difficult, but I will find a way. The other says, this is too hard, I can't continue. Same situation, different mindset, different outcome. That means your greatest battle is not outside, it is inside. Furthermore, the Bible makes this clear in Romans chapter 12, verse 2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That means transformation is not just about changing your actions, it is about renewing how you think. Because if your thinking remains the same, your actions will eventually return to old patterns. And let me be real with you. Your mind, if left undisciplined, will always choose comfort over growth. It will suggest rest when it's time to work. It will magnify fear when it's time to act. It will create excuses when it's time to take responsibility. That is why you cannot just follow how you feel. If you do, you will stay in cycles of inconsistency. Moreover, negative thinking is subtle but powerful. It does not always shout, it whispers. You are not ready. You might fail. You are not good enough. Try later. And if you don't challenge those thoughts, they become beliefs. And once they become beliefs, they begin to control your behavior. So you must learn to master your mind, not by ignoring your thoughts, but by guiding them. When your mind says, I can't, you respond with truth. When your mind says, wait, you remind yourself why you must act. When your mind tries to pull you back, you push forward intentionally. Furthermore, this is where God's word becomes powerful in your life. Because you cannot renew your mind with empty thinking. You renew it with truth. The more you fill your mind with God's word, the more your thinking begins to align with purpose, discipline, and strength. Let's make this practical. Instead of waking up and feeding your mind with distractions, you begin with truth. Instead of repeating limiting thoughts, you replace them with what God says about you. Instead of focusing on fear, you focus on growth. And over time, that shift changes how you respond to challenges. And here is the truth. Controlling your mind is not a one-time decision. It is a daily discipline. Every day, you choose what you think about. Every day, you choose what you believe. Every day, you choose whether you will move forward or stay where you are. Because your thoughts influence your actions create your habits, and your habits shape your life. So if you want a different life, you must develop a stronger mind, a focused mind, a disciplined mind, a mind that does not quit when things get uncomfortable. And understand this clearly. When you master your mind, you gain control over your direction. You stop reacting emotionally, and you start acting intentionally. You stop being controlled by fear, and you start moving with confidence. And that is when everything begins to change. Not just what you do, but who you are becoming. Now, as you begin to gain control over your mind, there's another truth you must accept if you are going to see real transformation, and that is this. Consistency is what separates intention from results. Not talent, not potential, not even opportunity. Consistency. Let me ask you something very real. How many things have you started with excitement only to stop after a few days or weeks? How many times have you told yourself, this time I will be serious, and then slowly drifted back into old patterns? Because starting is easy. Staying consistent is where most people fail. Think about it deeply. Anyone can be motivated for a moment. Anyone can feel inspired after a message like this. Anyone can make a decision in emotion, but consistency is not emotional. It is deliberate. It is choosing the same discipline even when the feeling is gone. It is showing up again and again when nobody is watching and when results are not yet visible. Furthermore, the Bible gives us a principle in Luke chapter 16, verse 10. He who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much. That means greatness is not built in big moments. It is built in small, repeated actions. The little things you do daily are what determine the big things that eventually show up in your life. Now bring this into your real life. Waking up on time, focusing for a few hours, finishing tasks instead of abandoning them, staying committed to your goals, even when progress feels slow. These are not small habits. They are the foundation of your future. And if you cannot stay consistent in the small things, you cannot sustain the big things. Moreover, consistency is what builds trust with yourself. Every time you keep your word to yourself, your confidence grows. Every time you follow through on what you said you would do, your discipline strengthens. But every time you break your own commitment, something inside you weakens. That is why inconsistency slowly destroys self-belief. And let me be honest with you. Most people don't fail because they are incapable. They fail because they cannot stay consistent long enough for results to show. They quit in the middle. They stop just before breakthrough. They abandon the process when it gets uncomfortable. But here is what you must understand. Progress is often invisible before it becomes visible. Just because you don't see immediate results does not mean nothing is happening. Seeds take time. Growth is slow. But if you keep showing up, something is being built underneath the surface. So consistency is not about intensity. It is about endurance. It is about showing up again even when you feel nothing. It is about continuing even when motivation disappears. It is about trusting the process more than your emotions. Furthermore, your future is not decided by what you do once in a while. It is decided by what you do repeatedly. Your habits are writing your story every single day. And whether that story becomes successful or stagnant depends on how consistent you are with what matters. So I need you to challenge yourself right now. What have you been inconsistent with? Your discipline, your focus, your habits, your spiritual life, your goals, because whatever you cannot stay consistent in will never grow. And this is where real change begins. Not in starting again, but in staying this time. Not in trying again, but in committing this time. Not in short bursts of effort, but in long-term discipline. Because when consistency takes root in your life, something powerful happens. You stop starting over and you start building forward. You stop repeating cycles and you start creating progress. You stop hoping for change and you start becoming the change. And that is how transformation is sustained. Now, as consistency begins to shape your life, there is another truth you must confront if you truly want lasting change, and that is how you manage your time. Because even a disciplined person can lose direction if their time is not intentional. Time is one of the most powerful resources God has given you, and once it is gone, it never returns. Let me ask you something very direct. Where does your time actually go each day? Not where you think it goes, but where it really goes. Because many people believe they are busy, but when they look closely, they realize their time is scattered across distractions, unnecessary conversations, endless scrolling, and unplanned activities that produce no real growth. Think about it carefully. You wake up, and before you even set direction for your day, your attention is already pulled. Messages, notifications, random thoughts, other people's problems, other people's expectations, and before you know it, hours have passed and the things that actually matter have not even been touched. Furthermore, the Bible speaks clearly in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 15 to 16, See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. That means time is not just something you spend, it is something you must redeem. In other words, you must take it back from waste, from distraction, from misuse, and use it with wisdom. Now let's bring this into your real life. Imagine two people with the same 24 hours. One uses their time intentionally, learning, growing, working, improving, building. The other allows time to slip away through distractions, procrastination, and lack of structure. At the end of weeks and months, their lives look completely different, not because one had more time, but because one used it better. And here is something you must understand deeply. Time does not reward intention, it rewards action. You can intend to be productive all day, but if you don't act, nothing changes. Time moves forward regardless of your preparation. That is why discipline in how you use your time is not optional, it is essential. Moreover, most people don't realize that wasted time slowly becomes wasted potential. Every hour spent without purpose is a lost opportunity to grow, improve, or move closer to your goals. And over time, these small losses accumulate into a life that feels stuck, even though the person is constantly doing things. So I need you to start asking yourself better questions. Is this activity moving my life forward? Is this conversation necessary? Is this distraction helping me grow? Because not everything that takes your time deserves your attention. And not everything that feels urgent is actually important. Furthermore, you must begin to structure your day with intention, not reacting to life as it comes, but directing your life with purpose. When you wake up, you decide what matters. You decide what gets your attention. You decide what must be completed. Because without direction, your day will be decided by everything except you. And let me be honest with you. Control over your time is control over your life. If you cannot manage your time, you cannot manage your growth. If you cannot prioritize what matters, you will always feel behind, always feel overwhelmed, always feel like you are not progressing, even when you are constantly active. But when you begin to redeem your time, something powerful happens. Clarity increases, focus sharpens, productivity rises. You begin to feel in control instead of overwhelmed. You begin to see results instead of just effort. And slowly your life starts to reflect discipline instead of chaos. So from this moment, you must make a decision. No more careless hours. No more drifting through the day. No more giving your best time to things that produce nothing in return. Your time is too valuable for that. Because every successful life is built on how well time is used, not how much time is available. And when you master your time, you begin to master your direction. Now, as you begin to take control of your time, there is something even deeper you must understand, because time management without purpose will still leave you feeling empty. You can be disciplined, focused, and productive and still feel like something is missing if you are not aligned with purpose. That is why the next level is not just doing more, it is doing what matters. Let me ask you something very important. Are you busy with your life or are you building your life? Because there is a difference. One keeps you occupied, the other moves you forward. One fills your schedule, the other fulfills your purpose. And many people are confusing the two every single day. Think about your actions. Are they connected to something meaningful, or are they just reactions to what is happening around you? Because if your life is only driven by reactions, messages, demands, pressure, distractions, then you are not leading your life, you are being led by it. Furthermore, the Bible reminds us in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, that God has plans for you, plans to give you a future and a hope. That means your life is not random. It is not accidental. There is intention behind your existence, but intention alone is not enough. You must align your actions with that intention. Now bring this into reality. Two people can work hard every day. One is building something aligned with purpose. The other is just staying busy trying to survive. Both are active, but only one is progressing meaningfully. That is why effort without direction eventually leads to frustration. And let me be honest with you, one of the greatest dangers in life is misaligned effort. When you are working hard on things that don't truly matter to your destiny, you feel tired but not fulfilled. You feel active but not impactful. You feel movement but not progress. And over time, that creates burnout and confusion. Moreover, purpose is not something you stumble into. It is something you grow into through consistent alignment. It starts with awareness. It continues with discipline. And it is sustained by making daily choices that match where you are going, not just where you are. So I need you to start evaluating your life honestly. What am I giving my energy to? What am I building with my time? What direction are my daily actions taking me? Because your future is not shaped by what you dream about. It is shaped by what you consistently do. And here is something powerful you must understand. Purpose is revealed through movement. Many people are waiting to feel purpose before they act, but clarity often comes after action, not before it. When you start doing the right things, direction begins to appear. Furthermore, when your life is aligned with purpose, everything changes internally. Your motivation becomes deeper. Your discipline becomes stronger. Your focus becomes clearer. You stop chasing random things and start pursuing meaningful goals. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. And let me challenge you here. Don't just ask God to bless your life. Ask Him to align your life. Because blessing without direction can still lead to confusion. But when your actions are aligned with purpose, even small progress becomes powerful. So from today, shift your focus. Don't just ask, what can I do? Ask, what should I be doing? Because not everything you can do is what you should do, and wisdom is knowing the difference. When you begin to live with that awareness, something powerful happens. Your life becomes more focused, more meaningful, and more effective. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter, and you start investing yourself into things that do. And that is where real transformation begins, not just in effort, but in direction. Now, as you begin to align your actions with purpose, there is a final layer you must understand if you want lasting transformation, and that is this. Everything you have heard means nothing without decision. Because understanding without action is just information, but understanding with decision becomes transformation. Let me ask you something very direct. How many times have you heard something powerful, felt motivated in the moment, and then returned to the same habits afterward? How many times have you said, this time I will change, only to fall back into old patterns within days? That is not a lack of knowledge. That is a lack of decision. Think about it deeply. Knowledge is everywhere now. You can hear motivation anytime. You can read advice anytime. You can listen to teachings anytime. But despite all of that, many people remain unchanged. Why? Because they never truly decide. They feel inspired, but they don't commit. And inspiration without commitment fades quickly. Furthermore, the Bible speaks clearly in Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19, where God says, I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Therefore choose life. Notice that choose, not wish, not hope, not feel. Choose. That means responsibility is placed in your hands. A decision must be made. Now bring this into your reality. Every day you are choosing something. Even when you think you are not choosing, you are choosing. Choosing comfort or discipline, distraction or focus, delay or action. And the sum of those small choices is what becomes your life. And here is the truth many people avoid. Your life is currently the result of past decisions. Not all of them were easy decisions. Not all of them were conscious, but they were decisions nonetheless. And the good news is this. Your future can change the moment your decisions change. Moreover, decision is powerful because it removes negotiation. When you decide, you stop arguing with your feelings. You stop debating with your emotions. You stop asking, do I feel like it? and start saying, this is what I will do, that is where growth begins. So I need you to be honest with yourself. What decisions have you been avoiding? The decision to be disciplined, the decision to stop wasting time, the decision to focus, the decision to take responsibility for your life. Because until you decide, nothing moves. And let me be clear with you, waiting is also a decision. Procrastination is also a decision. Distraction is also a decision. Silence is also a decision. And if you do not intentionally choose growth, life will automatically drift towards stagnation. Furthermore, real transformation begins when your decisions align with your purpose, not your feelings. Feelings will change. Motivation will rise and fall. Circumstances will shift. But a strong decision anchored in purpose will keep you steady through all of it. So today becomes a turning point. Not because you heard something powerful, but because you decide to respond differently. You decide to stop waiting. You decide to start acting. You decide to take ownership of your life. And when that decision is made, everything begins to change. Not instantly, but consistently. Your habits begin to shift. Your mindset begins to strengthen. Your direction becomes clearer. And slowly, your life starts reflecting the decision you made. So don't just listen to this. Decide with it. Because your next level is not hidden in more information. It is hidden in your decision to act on what you already know. Now, as you come to the final stretch of this truth, there is something you must carry with you from this moment forward. Because decision without consistency will still fail. You can decide today, feel strong today, feel motivated today, and still lose momentum tomorrow if you do not protect what you have decided. Let me ask you something very real. How many decisions have you made in your life that never survived the week? You decided to change. You decided to focus. You decided to be disciplined. But slowly pressure came, distractions came, comfort came, and what you decided started fading away. That is the battle most people lose, not in deciding, but in sustaining. Think about it deeply. It is not the big decision that defines your life. It is the repeated decision. The decision you make again when nobody is watching. The decision you make again when you are tired. The decision you make again when it is inconvenient. That is where transformation is tested. Furthermore, the Bible shows us this principle in Galatians chapter 6 verse 9. Let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. That means results are attached to endurance, not speed, not emotion, not excitement, but persistence. If you continue, you will see results. If you faint, you lose what was building. Now bring this into your real life. Many people start strong, but don't finish strong. They start learning, but stop halfway. They start praying, but lose consistency. They start working on themselves, but give up when it becomes uncomfortable. And because of that, they never see the harvest of what they started. And here is something you must understand. Life rewards those who stay, not those who start, not those who try, but those who stay committed long enough for change to appear. Because growth is not immediate, it is accumulate. Moreover, consistency protects your decision. It is what keeps your decision alive. It is what turns intention into reality. Without consistency, your decision is just a moment. With consistency, your decision becomes your identity. So I need you to ask yourself honestly, what will I do after this moment passes? Because this is where many people lose it. They feel strong now, but return to old patterns later. They get inspired now, but forget later. But real change is not proven in the moment. It is proven in the follow-through. And let me be honest with you. You will not always feel like doing what you need to do. There will be days when your motivation is low. Days when your mind is distracted. Days when your body feels tired. But consistency is not about feeling. It is about commitment. So you must build systems, habits, and discipline that outlast your emotions. You must become someone who shows up regardless of how you feel, someone who continues even when it is slow, someone who keeps going even when results are not visible yet. Furthermore, understand this clearly. Every consistent action is a seed, and seeds do not show results immediately. But if you keep watering them with discipline, they eventually become visible fruit. That is how success is built, quietly, repeatedly, consistently. So don't abandon what you are building just because it is not fast enough. Don't quit what you started just because it is not easy. Don't stop because it is not perfect. Keep going because it is working beneath the surface. And when you combine decision with consistency, something powerful happens. Your life begins to shift without noise. You begin to grow without struggle. You begin to change without confusion. And one day you look back and realize you became the person you once only hoped to be. So hold on to your decision. Protect it. Repeat it. Live it. Because that is how real transformation is sustained. Now, as we bring everything together, there's one final truth you must not miss. Because all responsibility, discipline, consistency, and purpose ultimately come down to this. Your life will never change by hearing. It will only change by doing. No. Furthermore, the Bible brings this truth into clarity in James chapter 1, verse 22. But be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. That means hearing without doing creates self-deception. You begin to think you are changing because you are exposed to truth. But in reality, nothing is changing because there is no action. Now bring this into your real life. How many goals are sitting in your mind but not in your actions? How many dreams are still in the planning stage but not in the execution stage? How many ideas have you carried for years but never built? And the honest answer is not because you don't care, but because action has been delayed. And here is something you must accept. Knowledge without action creates frustration. Because the more you know what you should do, the more uncomfortable you become when you don't do it. Your life will not be defined by what you heard today. It will be defined by what you did after hearing it. Now, as we come to the end of this message, I want you to hold everything you have heard and bring it into one simple but powerful truth. No one can do the work for you. Not your pastor, not your friends, not your environment, not even your motivation in a moment of inspiration. Your life will respond to what you consistently choose to do. So as you step away from this moment, do not just carry information, carry responsibility. Carry the awareness that your future is not waiting on permission, it is waiting on your participation. Every change you desire, every breakthrough you pray for, every level you hope to reach will require your hand, your discipline, your consistency, and your obedience in action. And I want to remind you of this final anchor from Scripture. James chapter 2 verse 17 says that faith without works is dead. That means your belief must have movement. Your prayer must have effort. Your vision must have action. Because life is not transformed by words alone, but by words that become work. So today, make a decision that goes beyond emotion. Decide that you will no longer wait for perfect conditions. Decide that you will stop blaming circumstances. Decide that you will take ownership of your time, your habits, your mind, and your direction. Because that is where real change begins. And as you go forward, remember this. God is with you. God will strengthen you. God will guide you. But God will not replace your responsibility. He will empower your steps, but you must take them. He will open doors, but you must walk through them. He will give you strength, but you must use it. So walk forward with clarity. Walk forward with discipline. Walk forward with consistency. And most importantly, walk forward with action. Because in the end, your life will not be defined by what you intended, but by what you did. Now go and build the life you have been praying for.